I got surgery.
So what's your different doctor?
All he did was recommend me to this other people. So, but you know how I said I had chips? It was my cartilage. So they late on my ankle where I broke it and then like it tore, they just reattached it and then they had to take part of the cartilage out and miss my cartilage. 6 to 8 weeks of no weights and then probably this weekend I have an appointment.
Pretty awesome.
Hey, Don. I resent my testing schedule.
I caught the owner. I've been laying in bed since last Wednesday.
You get a little frustrated. Looks nice.
If you start to sleep,
Dude, I'll be cool.
I'm thinking Wednesday maybe. But I was getting worried.
Put a sign on your yard already. Not your house yard.
When they start walking through short
Well, no, which
Can I steal this from you for a second? Yeah, they put on. Yeah, you got that today? Wow. She's going to OSL.
Once the kids around. That's just it.
That's it. Still got 2 minutes. Still got 2 minutes. We're good to go. When it comes to the soccer, there will be a discussion because Kevin had a very good question about the coaches. The reason there, MLS has total control over that. Probably we want to take some input over the system or something. So Jeff later would like to clarify that. Yeah. And then later. is he's going to get up and talk and answer.
Well,
Kelly Brewer's going to ask some questions.
There's not that many people here actually about it. That's surprising. This is all about his stuff.
Mr. Giles is going to address the board of the soccer. Those gentlemen over there with the goatee and the glasses are talking with Mrs. Mallon. This right now. It's written in there though. Alright, ready to roll? 7:30.
At this time, we'll call the meeting of the Farmington Central Community Unit School District 265 to order. Attention, starting the meeting. Quiet down, please.
Excuse us. Thank you.
Roll call of board members by the secretary, please.
Here.
Here. Please rise and join the board in saying of the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would please remind everybody to silence or turn off your cell phones at this time. At this time, we'll move right into honor and acknowledgement. Farmington Community Junior High All-Stars.
Thanks for letting me speak upon the members of our junior high that have been showing some awesome characteristics. We have our 6th grade student is not with us this morning, this afternoon. Yeah, this hour sleep thing's messing me up already. All right, Jillian Lancer is our 6th grade student, and I just want to tell everybody that Jillian excels academically in her classes. Her efforts in the classroom go above and beyond in all areas, and she has very strong character. She's also in competitive dance, which is why she's not available tonight. They have a mandatory practice for her to be at. So, a great student that I wanted to recognize. I also have our 7th grade student, and she is here today, and that is Trina Austin. Trina is meticulous in her work and effort. She is helpful to anyone who needs it and always strives to do her best. Trina is always willing to work with any other student and is able to stay focused on her work, even when seated near other students who can be distracting. She always goes above and beyond in her classwork. For that reason, Trina has been selected as our 7th grade All-Star for February. So Trina, come on up.
Over here. The other all-star. You guys take pictures.
The student that we selected for the 8th grade All-Star has a real special place in my heart. This kid is just a super hard worker. He's always got a smile on his face, and this is what his teachers have to say about him. Michael Chalicombe is hardworking and puts forth 110% in all of his classes. He follows directions and doesn't let poor behavior stray him from his work. He is always asking others about their day. Michael is a very deserving All-Star. And this week, we may have received a phone call inviting students out for the Special Education Resource Night. The man behind that phone call was Michael. So, Michael, come on up. Lego wall. Yep.
Michael, if you get your picture taken in front of the Lego wall.
Thank you all very much. Come on up, Michael. Michael, you can get a video.
You're not going to be in there?
Moving on, next will be the Farmington Community High School, starting out the IHSA State Cheerleading Team.
Okay, I know I say this every month, but it is truly an honor for we can get the opportunity to recognize our kids and all the special things and unique things that they do. This winter is no exception. And we're going to start off with our award-winning IHSA state qualifier cheerleading squad, who, they 4 years in a row, no, 5 years in a row, right, Coach, that we made the state? Oh, all right, sorry. Anyway, hey, we made it this year, and it was an outstanding year they had. And I'll introduce Coach Kim Pillman, and she'll talk about the girls.
Well, this is most of our cheer team that can make it tonight. Once again, I have a group of incredibly talented and hardworking young ladies this year. I didn't have any guys this year. We have tryouts actually in next week, I think. We'll have tryouts, and then they'll start practicing. They get their 25 contact days over the summer like every other sport does, and then we cheer football and do sideline practice in the fall, have competitive tryouts in October, and have practices all during the basketball season, and cheer for the basketball team, and on top of it do our competition. So these young athletes are really committed. It's a year-round sport for them, and I appreciate their parents and them for their dedication. We started out our season, we went up north and got a second place up in Wilmington, came back and won our competition, won Peoria, then we went on to ICCA, got 5th there at the championships there. Had some weather issues, so we had to skip a competition because they kept getting canceled. But then we did at sectionals. We came back. Well, we won Knoxville, and then at sectionals we were the 3-time sectional champion. So that's really quite a feat. I don't know really in this area how many people. I mean, cheer teams have won sectionals 3 years in a row. Made it to state. Got 11th, top 10 go to day 2 by .3, so we were so close. But sometimes it's just not your day. They ran with it, did really well. I wanted to say this team also, this past weekend, was asked to be the demonstration team at the ICCA Coaches Conference for Illinois. So we went, and they went to all the breakout sessions with all the coaches, did demo things, did a fashion show for the coaches, and I mean, they did phenomenal. I had so many coaches come up to me and say what a great group of athletes that you have, for Farmington, and representing Farmington. So they got to be around University of Illinois coach. They were around cheerleaders from University of Alabama and University of Kentucky, and I mean, it was really, really cool. I mean, we had a lady there speaking that's worked with University of Kentucky for like 10 years. So I mean, it was just these experiences that they're getting are, I think, really great. So I'm just really proud of all of them. Couldn't ask for a better group to coach. So I'm really proud.
Introduce each of the girls.
Yep. Yep. Courtney Merritt. Lexi Peterson. Carly Taylor. Riley Reed. Addie Peckham. Ashlyn Winter. Haley Smith. Miranda Hersey. Jessica Sidek. Abby Pepper. Chesney Koenig. And I know that Kylie Turner and Sarah Litchfield couldn't be here. Is Danielle's not here? Miranda's here. One other thing, let's see, Kylie's not here. Abby and Sarah were all state cheerleaders as well.
Moving on, next will be wrestling.
Okay, again, You know, our wrestling program has been back, this is the third year or fourth year? And, you know, they really have made leaps and bounds during that time, and this year was definitely no exception. We had an outstanding display at regionals, went on to sectionals, had a few just come up short, but then we had one qualifier and one alternate to state. And I would like to introduce Coach Jacob Durbin, and he'll talk about the wrestlers.
Thanks, Mr. Flater. This year was a great year. You know, our program's continuing to grow, which is a good thing. We had some guys that didn't really achieve their goals, but they still put in a good effort this year. And freshman Travis Sutherland, Mark Hayes, Luke Bucco. Those are guys that worked real hard. The guys that we're going to recognize tonight, though, that achieved their goals and really showed, you know, determination and perseverance. The first one is Kyle Peckham, who's not here tonight. He was a sectional qualifier this year. He finished third at regionals, and he's a sophomore. Next up is Andrew Bucco. Andrew finished second at the Kewanee Invite this year. He was took third at regionals and was a sectional qualifier. Elian Barnett, who's not here tonight, he's actually swearing in for the National Guard tomorrow. So he took first at Illini Bluffs, took second at the Kewanee Invite, and was a regional champion. He was a sectional qualifier and was took sixth at sectionals. Quentin Foltz, junior this year. He was the runner-up at the Illini Bluffs Invite. He took first at the Porta tournament, took first at the Kewanee Invite, first at regionals, sectional qualifier, and was one match away from being a state qualifier this year. Lost in what they call the blood round. It's a tough round of wrestling. And then also Brock Szymanski, first ever state place winner for Farmington High School. Brock took first at the Illini Bluffs Invite, first at the Porta Invite. He took third at Kewanee Invite. His loss there was to the now state champion at 220 pounds. Brock took first at regionals, third at sectionals by revenging a loss to the fourth-ranked kid in the state, and from Eureka. Yeah. And then was a state qualifier this year, and he took sixth at state. He lost to the kid that took first, and then the kid that took third. And we lost his fifth place match. But first ever state qualifier. I'm really proud of these guys and the work that they've done. I just appreciate the opportunity to coach these boys. It's a lot of fun for me. I know my assistant, Seth Nolan, has enjoyed it this year, first year assistant with me. Hopefully this program can continue to grow. Thank you.
We're going to waive food service till next month, and Sarah let you know till next month, so we can move on to the consent agenda now.
Moving on, next item up is the consent agenda. At this time, if anybody would like to leave, it'd be a good time before we get into the meat of the meeting. Otherwise, you're more than welcome to stay, but if you'd like to leave, now would be a good time. Okay, consent agenda. Agenda items 1 to 6 are included on the consent agenda. The purpose of a consent agenda is to preserve time on routine items. All items on the consent agenda will be approved without discussion in one motion unless a board member has a question about an individual item. This consent agenda is offered to conserve time, but not to stifle discussion. If a board member has a question about any item, that item will be pulled from the motion and considered separately. If there are no questions, we need the following motion. Is there any questions at this time? Seeing none. Motion and second to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Next item up, approval of, oh wait, this is part of the consent. Presentations. Mrs. Cleasat, modified PE, is up for a presentation tonight.
Hello, everyone. I'm Carrie Cleasat, for those who don't know me, Special Ed Administrator here at Farmington.
Casey Miller, adaptive PE from CECO. And I believe you also have a folder that we provided you guys. So before we get into, we have a nice video for you guys. We want to give you a very quick crash history course on where we've been in special ed over the last year. My very first year,
2009, and one of the things that we were working towards was more inclusive opportunities for our students with disabilities within the gen ed setting. The numbers I gave you, the first one starts in 2009, 2010. Back then, the state came in and took a look at our IEPs and spent some time in our special ed programs and came back to us to say, hey, we're over-identifying students in special education here. There's not even, in the students that we do identify, there's not enough opportunities for them to participate in the gen ed setting. So the numbers that I have for you there, and you guys can take a look at those, but the total number of students with IEPs in our school, in the first 3 years, the reports I had to give a specific number. And then the percentage of students with IEPs that have time in the gen ed setting, 80% or more of the school day. That middle percentage is their time in the general education setting, 40 to 79% of the school day, and then less than 40%. And then that last column is students that are in a separate facility. Kelly, you were probably the only board member back when we first had this focus monitoring visit, but I just wanted to show you just a progression over the years of how we've come, where we've been, and where we're going. Back in 2009, we were at only 39% of our gen ed students were participating in the gen ed setting 80% or more of the day. Just to kind of give you an idea of what that looked like on a daily basis, my very first year I had, as a special ed teacher, I had 18 students on my caseload in one grade level, and they were in my special ed setting a majority of the school day. So like immediately we were having conversations of how can we get them in the gen ed setting, what can we do to provide more opportunities for them. So fast forward to last year, and one of the ways that we collaborated on to provide different and new opportunities for our students in the gen ed setting is creating a new class called Modified PE. So Mr. Otto, I think, is going to play a little video for us. Can we talk a little bit about what the Modified PE class is?
Yep. So we started Modified PE this year. It's been a great opportunity for both gen ed kids and students with IEPs, students with disabilities. It's been awesome. Mr. Otto has done a great job teaching this class, and I've just been there to consult the class and come up with different ways to make it as inclusive and as fun for both kids and a learning opportunity for all students as best as we can. Another opportunity we have going on is this Unified Champion Schools. Unified Champion Schools is an organization that is partially federally funded, and it gives resources to schools for free. It's completely free for those who are giving more opportunities to include the gen ed kids with students with disabilities. Last year, since it's federally funded, they gave over $350,000 to Illinois schools for different things, like there were Special Olympics for uniforms, or like for Unified PE class, there could be uniforms or equipment, or there's different ways that we can use this money, so we want to start using this here at Farmington. And it's great. We've now officially at Farmington High School become a Unified Champion School, so this is awesome. We're going to start calling the Modified PE class a Unified PE class now that we are with this organization. So it's a really cool thing, and we have a lot of goals to go from here. And in April is the Autism Awareness Month, and we plan on doing a respect campaign that we're really excited about, that we're going to be working with the students. We found some student leaders that are going to roll this out, and they're very excited about it. So Mr. Otto has put together a video to show some of the things that have been happening in this class all year.
I've gotten more aware of people with disabilities in general and able to help them more and understand them. And I'm glad that Farmington has offered this class because I feel like so many things and I can relate to people to better understand kids and keep going in my life. It makes you think about others more, and you say that as an athlete, when you say you can't do something, and just having a bad day or something, there's other people that really can't do it. It makes you think more about what you're saying.
Modified, you guys really changed me for the better. Modified, the year really wasn't like, I really wasn't good at talking to people, but after you guys class, I got socialization with other students.
PE has changed my view on how I see the interaction between students with disabilities and students without disabilities, and it's also changed how I interact with students. And like loving and caring for certain. I think benefits for them are they're able to be around more people, and so it's not just like, well, they're secluded in their own little group, and that's just all they have. And it benefits us, so like we're aware that there are people out there with disabilities. I've never really, before this class, I've never really gotten to communicate a lot with like the kids, and I'm glad now that you know from walking in the hallway, I can say hi to them or just go around and see them, interact with them better than I could before. It definitely gets them more exposure to the rest of the school and get to interact with everyone else.
I think these kids with disabilities, they get an opportunity to have conversations they don't have with students they normally don't see throughout the day. It's a really cool experience.
the positives are it does give a lot of students a better chance to understand the kids and interact with them, so when they do see us role models, they feel like they're not alone and they have kids to talk to every student and better understand their lives while they're learning. They have friends or family. Because they really are like us, so shit, like, they're like, Marina's my best friend. I think everyone should have some class like this, so they understand how they're feeling and how their teachers, how they can work with it. It's different every day, but it's a lot of fun, and I would definitely encourage everyone to take it because it changes your viewpoints on others.
This class is actually great and learning opportunity, especially if you're looking for specializing in something like this in the future. Personally, I want to work with life skills and academics.
I would tell them that it's a really rewarding class and that it helps them better understand these kids, and it's something that maybe you're not looking forward to doing in the future, but it's something that we should look into because it's also helping them and you get to build relationships with kids that are good.
So as you guys can see, we knew the class could be successful and we were very excited about starting this class this year, but I think we underestimated the impact that it has made on our gen ed students. If you look in those folders, it has some different statistics. There's a sheet in there about why school boards, why superintendents should adopt a unified PE class. But there's statistics in there about decreasing bullying in schools and the increase in inclusion opportunities, and it's a pretty fantastic thing. So.
Do you have any interviews with other students? To get both sides. I just want to see how they liked it.
No, I did. We were trying to look for
Do you understand? I was just, I was just thinking. I mean, I'm sure that
Many of the students, some of those students in that class are nonverbal, so videotaping them might be hard, but bringing them to a board meeting, where they can use a device to communicate would be a great idea. It's 6 hour. It's a great class to go and see. It brightens your day. Starting with high school.
It's great. That's what I think it's going to do. We could start building that in PE, the junior high level, even all the way down to elementary.
Yeah. There's different opportunities for every age.
And there may not be just PE opportunities. There's different campaigns and there's different after-school clubs and lunch clubs. There's more different. Yeah.
This is just one very small.
So, Casey, you, and I'm not minimizing Lindsay, I know you've been at this for a while, but Casey, you've really been working for CEMCO and adaptive PE and modified PE and unified PE for a lot of years. Can you just talk about how it's kind of evolved over your career with
And you've known me for 10 years now, so yeah. When I first started, it definitely was more of a separate PE class, and I started seeing why are we having a separate, the kids weren't meeting their goals and they weren't succeeding and getting higher skill levels. So when we were starting to put them in gen ed PE, I've seen just the kids just grow so much, and I saw it not only in our students with special needs, but in the gen ed kids. I just saw this huge bond, and then when we started doing it in elementary, I saw these relationships build all the way from junior high to high school in different districts. So I'm so excited that Farmington has just been the most supportive district that I've worked with this year about building this and starting this. So I'm just pumped and so glad to be here and help out.
you guys, really one of your key functions is to kind of help the staff, the students, how can we modify this? How can we adapt this activity for students? And I'm sure you've probably seen now, like, students are a good resource, the teachers are becoming more comfortable with it, and you're really able to broaden the activities and the breadth of the course as well.
And there's training of aides that we're doing in there because a lot of aides don't know what necessarily to do with the classes. So that's part of our job is to go in there and train and show them all what the students are doing.
And I know this isn't part of the presentation, but you also got a big day planned for May, right?
Yes.
All the kids this evening. You guys want to talk a little bit about that?
I would love to. I'm very excited about it. SEPCO is putting on their first annual SEPCO Field Day event. So a lot of schools have a field day at the end of the year. What I was seeing is not all of our kids with special needs, like in life skills programs, were getting an opportunity to be a part of those field day events, like outside, like they were supposed to go out and talk to her, they weren't included. So we went to Laura Haas, our SEPCO director, and she was all on board restarting it. So our first annual one is this May. It's hosted at Limestone High School, and all of our life skills from around Peoria County, which is 17 school districts, which is the life skills. Get to come and have a morning of fun. And the best part is our unified PE. We can now start calling it class, Mr. Otto's class, and all the Gen Ed kids are coming to volunteer and be a part of it and help us out and work these stations and have a great day, and they all get to take away from it. And we've had a lot of sponsors in the community to help support this event. We're able to give everyone a free shirt this first year. I hope that continues. So we're really excited about it. In fact, we're going to be on News 25 promoting this event the week before, and then News 25 is putting on the event on May 9th.
And when we asked about something else, they were all on board.
Yes.
And second, some of the stuff is going to involve from what I've been teaching, and I take this up with Dr. Kennedy and everything as well. So now I think what we're doing is you're going to change the basically the model. I think we did a really good part of the model with groups that are the ones that are having fun with the things to be able to do and some of our tenants to do some of the things. I think that's one of the big benefits
They'd rather listen to their friends than the adults anyway. Hey, Dr. Taylor, thank you. I just have to say this. Thank you for all of your support with this. This has been huge, and I'm just so excited to do tons of stuff here.
We're going to be, our long-term goal is to be
Yep.
a
Banner school.
We want to be a banner school.
unified champions.
There's only a handful in the whole state of Illinois, so it's a big thing, but if we have it as a goal,
We can do it.
get there. Yeah.
Two questions about federal funding. What are we looking at?
Yeah, so we just had the director and assistant director come and presented our SEPCO board meeting on Friday. So federally, the government dumps money into this program. So they said that this last year they gave $350,000 throughout Illinois schools. 350,000 went out in Illinois schools. For different programming opportunities and activities that they put on in the schools. So we would like to take advantage of that. And now that we are a unified champion school at Farmington High School, we can start using that. And we plan on starting there and building maybe to the junior high level and elementary by doing different campaigns or different clubs or these PE classes, that kind of stuff. And as we build on their criteria list, that's how we get. So eventually we would like to maybe have a youth athlete program, and maybe start having some kids in Special Olympics. And as this grows, and our whole goal next year is to get more unified champion schools in the whole county for SEPCO, and then we can start hosting leadership summits here locally and stuff like that. There's a whole lot.
There was another benefit to being a unified champion school. Even just with our status where we are right now, we have the opportunity next year to send our unified class, not the full class, but a strict number of Gen Ed students and their buddies to leadership seminar, which is like awesome.
And it's all paid for by Unified. So I mean, there's a lot of good stuff.
Back to my question. How much are we looking at? Have you seen other schools? How much they've gotten? What are we?
Limestone High School is the first one in the area to start the unified PE at the high school level, and they have already received, I want to say it's been a couple thousand. They've got uniforms. They have a basketball team. Again, they've got PE equipment from it. So I know Limestone High School's already received a couple thousand, and they just started it a few years ago. Third year, yeah. So it all depends on how, and they don't have us helping them, so we're gonna.
But it mainly goes for equipment, correct?
Equipment, uniforms, money to send kids to like leadership summits. There's different activities. There's many different subcomponents to Unified. There's Unified Sport, which is more of like the team activities. There's different like buddy lunches and just different opportunities centered around inclusion. And that money can be pooled into different activities like that.
Okay, and I take it banner is the next step up.
So it's like
It's a lot of steps up. That's a lot of steps. We can get there though. So if you're put a running analogy, we just got done with our first 5K, and that would be like a marathon.
Unified Champion Schools is a component of Special Olympics. So Special Olympics is the organization.
Just curious, back in '99, I was a special education teacher at Tri-Valley and helped a young man work and integrate him a job in trade skill in Prairie Woodworks. Is this, it's a little off the subject, but is this model ever being used with trade skills for students who are able?
Go ahead. We have Steve Co-Job coaches that are doing that right now and have several of the students working locally. We have students working at the library, and the hardware store, and
What else? We can sit up here and talk about
Yeah.
all night.
Other questions? All right, thank you so much. Keep up the good work. Thanks, Coach Otto.
Now I'm going to open up for request for public hearing. Meeting protocol requires a board agenda item of proposal for the public to be requested a minimum of 5 days prior to the meeting. However, this does not prohibit individuals from addressing the board publicly and within requests for public hearing agenda time frame and within time limits set by board policy. At this time, Jeff Gillis has requested to address the board regarding soccer, so I'm turning the podium over to Jeff.
Hi, good evening. As Mr. Cruz said, I'm Jeff Gillis. I'm here to represent a group of parents and potential soccer players who are encouraging the board to vote yes tonight on the proposed co-op with Illini Bluffs. First, I'd like to thank the school board for allowing administration to pursue options for soccer. We appreciate you listening to your constituents and considering the proposal. We'd also like to thank Dr. Chatterton and Mr. Flater for doing their due diligence. I think they've come up with a common sense approach that should appease everybody and have great benefits. I spoke last fall to this group when they were talking about the enhancement projects, and I want to rehash some numbers that I brought back then. Last fall, 4 age groups of Farmington students played soccer at the YMCA in Canton, each team consisting of 10 to 15 players. Age ranges were from age 5 and under to 13 and under. There are also a handful of students that played for a travel junior high team through Canton for 7th and 8th graders. There were also 30 high school students that played on a club soccer in Keegan and Lincoln. They played over the summer. They had enough students from the Farmington area to have 2 teams. You add all this up, you're looking at about 80 Farmington students who are playing soccer in the last year in our community. The numbers show not only will soccer player numbers be sufficient to successfully start the co-op, but also maintain it for the future. As I understand, the school did a survey of the students and had really good response on that also, the number of kids that want to play soccer for the school. Studies have shown that kids who participate in sports learn life skills and are typically more successful later in life. There are several students in our school who tried to play other sports, but they've fallen in love with soccer. It's their sport, and that's what they want to do. And they want to be afforded a chance to play for their school and their community. By improving the co-op, the board can recognize that playing soccer is more than just putting a ball in the net. It's going to give them some life skills to be successful in the future. Just please vote yes and give our students a chance to represent their school. We appreciate your yes vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, if anyone else would like to address the Board of Education, please rise forward to the podium and give your name. Seeing no other individuals, we will move on to the next item. We're now moving on to new business. Personnel. Mr. McMillan is recommending that we non-rehire contract of Michael Johnson, Farmington Community High School teacher, effective at the end of the school year. Motion second to approve Resolution 03-1119-1 for non-reemployment for Michael Johnson, Farmington Community High School teacher, effective at the end of the 2018-2019 school year. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, moving on to roll call.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Flatter recommends appointing Rebecca Marvel as assistant junior high school track coach for the 2018-2019 school year. Motion and second to employ Rebecca Marvel as assistant junior high school track coach for the 2018-2019 school year. Discussion. Mr. Flatter, can you give a background for recommendation on this individual?
Yes. Rebecca Marvel currently is our junior high cross-country coach and has served Farmington District since 1975 in a variety of capacities, mainly in cross-country and track. She, in watching her this past fall, I really admired how she's kind of the Pied Piper with the cross-country kids and has done a terrific job, and she'll be a great compliment to Mr. Piper, who is the head girls junior high cross-country coach.
Thank you. Roll. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Flatter also recommends appointing Melissa Petermeyer and Sarah Hamlin as co-Farmington Community Junior High cheerleading coaches 2018-2019 school year. 2019-2020 school year. Motion second to appoint Melissa Petermeyer and Sarah Hamlin as co-Farmington Community Junior High cheerleading coaches for the 2019-2020 school year. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Board acknowledges the attainment of tenure following the first day completed work during the 2019-2020 school year. Farmington Community High School, Anita Osmond, Tamara Clark, Kevin Spengler, and Travis Wilkinson. Farmington Community Junior High, Maria Ellison, Charlie Young. Farmington Community Elementary School, Shannon Hoffman. The board also acknowledges the resignation of Scott Malico as Director of Maintenance, Maria Ellison as Farmington Community Junior High cheerleading coach, and Marcy Fletcher as District Registrar and Director of Grants. Next item up for new business, IHSA membership. This is an annual request to a member of the IHSA, which we have to maintain every year for eligibility. Motion and second to approve membership of the IHSA for Farmington Central High School for the 2019-2020 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? I think everybody aware this is mandated and we pretty much have to do this anyway. Roll call, please. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Next item, enhancement projects bid release. The district has been working towards providing enhancements to our campus. The enhancements that have been identified as higher priorities are going out for bid. The board will bid out the following scope of work: fitness and manufacturing additions, locker room and concessions building, exterior fitness area, elementary and junior high school toilet room renovations, softball and baseball concessions and press box projects. Motion and second to approve the bidding and scope of work for enhancement projects as presented. A discussion at this time. I think this everybody knows this is something we've been talking about, buildings and grounds, and have repeated several times at all the previous meetings also. Roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. School calendar 2019-2020. While there has been no definitive decision made on what the state will allow, we are going to proceed with the adoption of the school calendar as presented. We decide to approach emergency days in any other way than how we have in the past. We will amend the calendar. More or less, I think everybody's aware that the state is possibly changing the way the emergency days can be allocated in the coming year, but Chatterton and I, we have not heard any more details. So at this time, we need a motion and a second to approve the 2019-2020 school calendar as presented. Any other discussions by the board members? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Intergovernmental agreement with Illini Bluffs to co-op for soccer. As has been discussed in the past 2 months, it is being recommended that the board approve the intergovernmental agreement with Illini Bluffs in order to create an opportunity for our high school students to participate in IHSA soccer. Motion and second to approve the intergovernmental agreement with Illini Bluffs to form a co-op for soccer beginning in the 2019-2020 school year. Discussion. Anybody on the board want to? I'll turn it over to Mr. Flatter first.
If you have any questions leading up to that,
Is this a specific length of contract? 1-year deal or 2-year?
Typically with the IHSA, when you enter into a cooperative, it's a 2-year deal.
That's what I thought. Right. And still decent numbers when we did the survey of monthly students.
Yes, I haven't taken a second poll, but if this goes through, the plan of action will be Illini Bluffs has some paperwork to do to get it approved with their conference. And with 7 schools that they participate, we'll have to get it approved with the Prairie Lake Conference, which I've already kind of floated it out there to them. I don't anticipate that being an issue. And then talking with Steve Schaefer, the athletic director of Illini Bluffs, their coach wants to come down here and begin the process throwing out, here's what we have some schedules for the summer, open gym type things or open field type things, and just get to know the kid and start recruiting.
Also, what about an assistant coach for us to simply ride over and back practices?
We haven't really come to that determination yet as a district for ourselves. In the contract, in the intergovernmental agreement, it does say that Illini Bluffs will hire the assistant coaches. It has been a verbal agreement between their school and us that if we were wanting to add a position, that we could amend the intergovernmental agreement to reflect that. Yes, they have. I did talk with Mr. Schaefer, and they have a club. It's not really run through the school, but it's outside of the school. They play on their fields. They have teams that they put together, and I know, I can't remember exactly what you said, it's a league, but they play games, and if Limestone's involved with that, which I think there's a couple other communities, our kids would be more than welcome to attend or to participate. I know currently a lot of the games roll up and out of town, go to the old. Okay. That'd be nice to work together. Pretty nice. Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
I've done a couple of open houses. I've done last school this year, trying to pass them all. I think I've done one the last month. And I always try to farm does stuff. Outside Farmington especially. But I had some people ask about Farmington and both open houses. Most recently, yesterday, gentleman was asked about soccer. They said, it's a big deal. So they don't want one of the districts on the same thing. There's certain things where there, it just what's important to you. But I do think that this is something. I'm not saying track. But that's here. Thanks for your work.
Any other discussion? Seeing roll call, please.
Raleigh.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
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 Motion passes. That'll make a lot of people happy then. Pushing for this. Board policy updates. School districts throughout the state of Illinois subscribe to the Legal Counsel of Press. In order to ensure that the board policies are compliant and up to date, both federal and state legislative action and court rulings impact the policies that school districts must have in place. The policy committee met in January, and before you are the updated policies. Press issue 99 for approval. Motion and second to approve the board policy updates as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Anybody on the policy committee? Something we've been discussing since January, so I think everything should be covered. Anything, Kelly? Okay. Roll call.
Yes.
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 Approval of surplus items. 5 different items of external wooden storage structures are submitted for your review. The intent is to dispose of items for profit. Blind bids may be submitted to the district for a prescribed period of time with varying time restrictions. The time frame restrictions will be based on the construction schedule. Motion and second to declare the presented items as surplus to the district and dispose of them.
So moved.
Any discussion by the rest of the board?
We're putting all the stuff in.
That's why it's on the varying time restrictions. So stuff will get moved from where they're at to the new facility.
A significant portion will go into the maintenance shed that's supposed to be designated for storage as well, once we get the football staging area out of the storage area.
It's a project. It's a project timeline. When things become available for surplus, and other things are finished, being transitioned.
It just looks like a lot of stuff to put in that building.
I'm not even guaranteeing all of it's going to go in there. I don't know for certain, but I'd speculate some of those things may have traveled over from the old school and not been brought out. But I'm just speculating. I don't know.
That makes a little sense.
There may be some mothballs on some of the stuff.
So,
Okay.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Now we're into discussion at this time. IASB Code of Ethics number 3. I will recognize that a board member has no legal authority as an individual and that decisions can be made only by a majority vote at a board meeting. Next item, board meeting for April. We're moving the Monday, April 8th board meeting to Thursday, April 11th, for the purpose of ensuring that the election office will have definitive results in order for the board to be seated of the new members or the existing members for the next duration of tenure. Item number 3. Go ahead.
I thought we did a special meeting.
We did a special meeting.
That's what I thought too.
You guys just want to do it that way?
I think that'd be best.
Okay. So we'll.
It's much easier because then we think it's
So just keep the regular Monday the 8th.
keep the regular Monday the 8th and then
A special.
after all the.
Okay, and then on that, is that Thursday fine? Or do you guys have a preference?
And results final by then.
They are.
They are? We're quicker this time, because they're not usually.
We can go to the next week. We-
I don't care. I'll be
I just know
here.
that the last time we all, it was,
Just for the sake of getting committees, you know, we don't have those one. Small setting.
Yeah.
Those things.
Sure.
You know, there's always going to be a lot of
Okay. One of you gets to have a vote or say or input. This is a discussion item, so it's your own. The discussion is to have the regular board meeting and then have a separate one to get the new board all seated. No. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you guys have it? Okay. Okay.
That's just how we put it on the apps.
Past has always been the board meeting.
Special session, that's process.
One board meeting, you actually have to have it.
Has to be within 30 days of the
30 days
election.
of the 30 days of the election, so we've got it right up to date. You know, we've been in the 20s. Yeah, I mean, it'll still be a board meeting, it's just a special, it'll still be public.
It's still public.
We wait till, we do it on that level. Basically, we're still having regular board meeting. But just got into that board meeting, we're adjourning, and then we see.
Yeah, you do the regular board, you adjourn, and you seat the new board.
I'd rather go 2 days, that's just me. Meetings, whatever the rest of the board members also want.
I don't have a
Get it on Thursday for some reason, we didn't have everything in by then. That's the one thing that I worry about is if something goes wrong. Peoria County election.
well, it's not just.
Just
Well,
recount.
I understand, but I do believe the last time it was Peoria County election, that took long. Maybe I'm wrong. And that's probably what it is. That we'll go with.
I know we've had some close counts in past board elections, so. Like two or three elections. So it can get more difficult than when you realize when you look at a district our size and you're within 7 votes on one of the board members being seated and one not.
We have a light one on Thursday. Yes, we'll just work the schedule.
sounds like Monday the 8th, we'll keep the regular board meeting scheduled. And then we'll see about this special, maybe once we have a better idea, maybe that Thursday, if it looks like we're going to get the finalized results in. We're going to push it to the final, the following. Well, you know what? We'll announce it that Monday night. We'll have a much better idea. We'll announce it.
By that Monday night, we'll
Yeah.
know where the,
Yeah, we'll just say then.
then we have enough time to.
That'll be the easiest.
We got enough time to post it accordingly.
Yeah. You still have to have 48-hour post. All right. So we will find a date on that Monday, and then we'll post it. So at least has to be 48 hours. All right.
Moving on. Transportation. Mr. Vows has done some preliminary canvassing of options for our transportation needs moving forward.
All right, so I apologize for not being here last month. I had a little family mishap. One of my kids in the emergency room, so I had to move them back. But a couple things with transportation. Obviously, the bus purchase is the big thing. 17 buses that we had leased will be Type C full-size buses to go with the 10 that we already own, and a modified Type A bus, which is it has a wheelchair lift in it. You can add seats for as many as you need. If we were to need a second wheelchair, room for a second wheelchair, seats are removable so that if we ever get in that jam, we have, the capability of hauling 2 wheelchairs at the same time. And then an additional 2 wheelchair buses, regular wheelchair buses. So that will put our fleet at 20 buses total.
Purchase.
I'm sorry, our purchase of 20 buses total. Yes, yes, 30 completely. So.
So just to clarify, we'll own 20 of the fleet, and we'll be leasing 10.
We'll own all.
We'll own all 30.
They'll all be on long-term leases because 10 are already on long-term lease previous to us.
At the conclusion of that long-term lease, we own it, correct?
Yes.
We have the title to the bus, right?
Yes, we will.
So I know that they call that a long-term lease.
Right. Yes. Like they said,
it's like a rental.
They said it's a long-term lease and they're not taking them back. That's what they told me. So basically, that's.
So 10 of the buses will start next year. 10 of the buses will have 3 years age on them.
Yes.
Okay. And then 20 of them will be new.
Will be new.
All right.
Yep. And we already have stop arm cameras on 3 of the 10. We've added those for those routes, and all of the new ones will come with those stop arm cameras. So we'll still have 7. The only ones that don't have stop arm cameras on them, but otherwise they all will. So. Yeah, I actually have I have that on my list to talk about. So in Hannah City, which is where we've been having the problems, we have captured 2 cars passing. And have a system where we send it straight to the Henry County Police, and they have ticketed those 2 people. So it has worked. I know I've received at least one email of frustrated parents where there's a turn lane in between, and a car passed on the outside lane. The camera can't capture that, and so I called REI to see if there was something better that we could do, which is our video company, and they said right now there's not affordable technology that they are willing to stand by. But they believe in 2 years they will have that. So I guess that's a bridge we'll cross when we get there. We know Hannah City has been the big problem area, it seems like, with that turn lane in there. So possibly in 2 years we can look at upgrading those video things. And I certainly understand the frustration with it. My daughter rides that bus. I mean, I get it. So it definitely matters, and that's something we're looking at. But I went all the way and talked to their corporate office, and they think in 2 years the technology will be affordable and doable. So the pictures we're getting are good right now. We're getting the plates and everything. It's just not able to get that second lane over. So the other thing I want to hit on, I know it was a tumultuous winter. Lots of stuff. But I really think our bus drivers, we should commend our bus drivers. That's not an easy job. I mean, that's tough. Going out on those country roads and doing the things that they did, and managing the bus garage, not me, but Wes, that's not an easy job either. And I know there were some tough things and some things that weren't perfect. We're working through those. And I will say that things brought to my attention, every one of them were checked into. I believe Ron, BJ, and I talked about every one of those at some point. And in almost every case, I'd already been notified of it. And many times there was more to it than was out there. So I'll just say that. The big thing coming up will be bus extension with the company. The 5-year plan after year 3, which is what we're on, it renegotiates the price, and that's kind of what we're working on right now for the next 2 years. So, I thank BJ and Ron for all their work on the committee. They definitely helped me a lot. So, engines and buses are not my specialty. Becoming that, but they're not my specialty. So I appreciate it.
Getting better.
So is there any questions?
What is the length on the long-term lease?
7 years. And the price we got basically for 7 years, we're locked on cheaper per year than a lease would be per year. A lease would be 3 years. But I think we all know after those 3 years are out, those leases are going to be more expensive than the price we're locked in for because they're already cheaper. So although we lock in for 7 years, it's cheaper for us to long-term lease, which is a purchase, than it would be to lease 3 years. And I checked into if there was a scenario where we cut our routes down and didn't need one of the buses, they would buy back those buses from us. So we're really out nothing. So, except, obviously it's money right now. So.
What's the average mileage per bus per year?
Under 20,000. So most I think are around, I think they said 14,000. I have to double check, but I think around
About 13.7 or
yeah, something 13.7 right around 14.
Because we had some buses that were mileage buses, and that's why we had to watch the mileage on it. We had somewhere 13 to 13.
So at the end of the year, you're approximately 100,000 mile bus. What's the plan on going forward after staying down the road? Are you looking at a value or a timeline where you're going to roll back into somebody to freshen the fleet?
Yeah, I've actually been talking to Dwayne Peterson at Dunlap about that. I'm going to meet with him Thursday. Since it's time all the year, they have some buses that have lasted a really long time. Now for us, it's going to be tougher because obviously the roads we're traveling on are not the same roads they're traveling on. So it might be a per bus thing that we have to keep an eye on.
Rotate the buses around.
Ideally, we'd like to.
Not hopefully, I'm just saying. Just because a bus driver has bus at ABC 1 year doesn't mean he's going to have an extra.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Those will rotate around based on mileage.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
And they rotate them now to maximize our lease availability.
Yeah, we try to run our lease up, obviously, as far as you can, as we put the mileage on our own bus.
The lease to return, not the lease to own.
Yeah, because there's a penalty clause if you go over.
Yes, there is. Yep.
Any other questions for Randy? Seeing none, thank you. Technology, Mr. Jansen and Ms. Perry will give a brief update on our progress towards 1-to-1.
Well, we're here to talk about the one-to-one initiative that we're going to be rolling out here in the fall. Give you a quick update on where we're at. We have stabilized the infrastructure for the most part. We have not had a single outage all year, which is pretty awesome, I would have to say. I think the teachers are pretty happy, and so are the students. The internet, the network, phones have been running pretty well. We've also partnered with MediaCom and now Mid-Century, which most of you here in town are probably pretty psyched about your internet. We're going to be doubling our bandwidth, and we'll have 2 carriers, so we should theoretically never have an internet outage, which is pretty important when students have devices in their hands, using them throughout the day. With that, we're also going to be saving $6,000 a year on our internet costs, which is pretty phenomenal considering we're going to be doubling our internet bandwidth. Which is something that's not very common. We use a program called E-Rate, which is something that schools and libraries use. It's a federally funded program based on where you live, since we're rural, and based on our low income rate. We go out to bid every year, and we were able to secure some great rates this year. So we are looking forward to having that installed this summer through Mid-Century, and MediaCom lowered our costs by about 75%. So pretty happy with them. I can say anything about that. So anyways, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Perry to talk about professional development.
So we are really pushing into our professional development for the high school staff. We talked previously about our rollout of one-to-one and our breakout sessions that we did. We have been taking staff to some conferences. So in November we went to the Illinois Education and Technology Conference in Springfield. Just a couple weeks ago we were at ICE, which is Illinois Computing Educators. It was myself, Mr. Jensen, and then we had a team of 6 teachers that we took with us, 5 from the high school and 1 from the junior high. It was a 3-day conference and it was fantastic. There was a lot that was learned there that we were able to bring back, that we will be looking in the next couple months before school gets out for them to share out with the rest of the staff as well. And then this summer I will be traveling to Philly to present at the ISTE conference, which is an international technology conference. It was in Chicago last year and I was there this year. It's in Philly, so I will be there. In-house, we have a training coming up this Friday. At the high school and junior high, I will be giving a training on becoming Google certified. I'm a level 2 Google certified trainer, so I'll be training teachers to do their own Google certifications. Like I said, we have some breakout sessions coming up where teachers will be training other teachers. And then from here through the end of the year, I'm looking into getting into classrooms for individual coaching sessions with teachers, as well as doing some open lab times for them to come and try things out. The last piece of professional development is looking into the summer. There's been some requests from staff to do some basic training as far as getting into just the Google apps that we use, basic Gmail, Google Docs, and things. We have a wide range of needs for training, so there's a possibility of offering just some trainings for anyone to voluntarily come in and learn more about the devices that we'll be using.
We're also currently negotiating with a couple vendors on our device procurement. We are near completion on our lease agreement with Dell on providing devices for our high school staff, students, and the spares. We should be passing on that agreement here shortly to the board to review. We should be finalizing that soon and have those devices before the summer begins, give or take, so that they're ready to go. We should allocate those devices out in August to everyone, and then all the devices in the high school get rolled down to the other buildings. That way everyone has more access to technology. And then that should get everyone ready to go before school starts.
And Ms. Perry, you were talking a little bit about like an orientation with families and things of that nature. Mr. Jensen, can you just touch a little bit about just the logistics of unbagging, tagging, distribution?
Yeah, every device has to be touched. They get enrolled into our Google Admin console. Every device will get assigned to a student with a serial number. Every device gets tracked in this console. We can deploy apps to every through the console. That way, everyone has the same apps to all of them. That way, we can do a warranty repair on them. Every device will have a 4-year warranty. It includes accidental damage, water spills, drops. Every device will come with the same identical case. Every device comes with that they're all exactly the same, so that way everyone doesn't have one device. Teachers can teach the exact same lesson. It's very important that way. Some schools do bring your own device. Actually, Farmington kind of does a bring your own device now. It's kind of difficult to teach a lesson when one student has a laptop, one student has a Chromebook, and one student has a Mac. So by us having a singular device, it allows a teacher to teach one lesson across all of the same device. So very important. It's going to take a lot of hard work from myself and Brady Johnson, also in the technology department. So should be a great summer. Looking forward to it.
Policy-wise, are we thinking the same device 3 or 4 years if it works, or every year?
Generally, we'd like to keep the same device across the board. I've talked to a lot of districts about this, and some kind of mixed bag. It depends on how big the district is, because it takes obviously some storage. I mean, obviously in a couple of years we could have 1,500 devices in this room, and we're going to be going, okay, who has this one? Who has this one? Some students will say, well, my device is absolutely perfect when I dropped it off at the end of in May, and now it's not because I got student B. So obviously we try and keep it as uniform as we can. So I see that as probably being the case. I don't see why we wouldn't. The district isn't that big, so I don't see it as being a problem, because it'll have a barcode on it. And sometimes we use like the Follow Library system. It has a checkout system that we can purchase if we don't already have it. I don't believe we have the textbook manager to it, but if we don't, it's something that we can add on. We can check it out just like a book. So that way you just check it right back out to them. It's a great system to use.
As I was thinking long term, we'll have students who are national express individuality and express themselves. With the cases and any policies.
There is. Ms. Perry and I have been working on the handbook, and part of the handbook says not to use stickers, not to use this, because obviously they're going to be, essentially it is school property, and we're not going to want them to deface it. If they want to add some sort of tag to the outside, like your luggage tags, and put some sort of flair, I guess is probably a good word, or something like that, they're more than welcome to, like, use your luggage. You see people tie around like a handkerchief or something like that, because it will look the same. I've seen that done at my last district. Kids had some sort of something tied around it. That way, because obviously everyone's gonna have the same looking case. But obviously we know when we battle tested the case, so we know that one's the right one. So we will make it mandatory to leave them in that case. But we have seen them not decorate it, with like a permanent marker or whatever. But if they want to tie something on there and do that, they're more than welcome to. Any other questions? All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
That being the end of our discussion items at this time, I need a motion and second for adjournment.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. So moved. Motion's meeting's adjourned. Information, next regular meeting will be Monday, April 8th at 7:30 p.m. in the Farmington Community High School Research Center. Also, the Meet the Candidates will be March 27th at the auditorium.